Hi, welcome to the stream. I actually got started on time today. So, what I like to do when I start the stream is do a little recap of what has changed since last time, and also if you're new, I can just give you a little bit of an overview of the project. So, believe it or not, I don't do all my dev during just the 2 hours that I'm on stream. I'm trying to save up, some more interesting stuff for the stream, but last night I was up till 3 a.m. because I just got so excited working on stuff and getting it, fixing a lot of issues that I had encountered before and getting it to a pretty good state. Not perfect yet, but pretty good. So, what I want to do is actually first show you a video of that I recorded earlier today, and yeah, then we can um, get looking at some other stuff. So without further ado, go ahead and watch the video. Alright, so I'm going to do a little breakdown of what's going on there. So I'll play it again and then I'll just kind of talk over it. So this is the Earth going from... Why is it... Come on. I don't know why my taskbar is on top of everything. You can blame Windows for that. Can I hide it? Is there auto hide? What the heck, Windows? It was just working. Ah, it's so annoying. Okay, anyway. We'll watch a video even with the taskbar at the bottom. So the Earth here is going from a primordial state where it's just all molten lava creating lots of ash in the atmosphere until eventually it cools and all the air condenses out of the atmosphere and you get liquid oceans and you see all those clouds because it's raining. But volcanoes continue to pop up due to the magma pressure from the center of the Earth, and then it cools even more and ice starts to form over everything. But the sun is giving a little bit of a warming action, so it keeps it a little warmer in the northern hemisphere here, but the way the parameters are for this planet, it still remains mostly an ice planet except for where those volcanoes pop up. And you can see that I have some pretty nice cloud rendering that appeared. I was really happy with how that turned out, except like right here I was really happy with that. For a while I wasn't really liking how the clouds were looking. I had like this cloud texture that I was using to affect the opacity, but it was okay, but it wasn't doing enough to so basically I have a mesh that composed of vertices, and there's sort of like at each vertex sort of like a cloudiness value, and because the mesh isn't that fine, you could kind of sort of see the shape of the triangles in the mesh, and I was doing some tricks with the cloud texture to try to hide that. It worked okay, and how well it worked kind of depended on how cloudy it was and how far away you were. Like, if there was just a little bit of cloudiness, I could really ramp up the intensity of how much the cloud texture affects the opacity. I could really hide the edges pretty well, although at the same time kind of shrinking the clouds. But if you zoomed out to like this view right here like we have, then you'd see like this obvious tiling pattern, and I could do the noise sort of at a grander scale, less repetition, and it would look okay then. But then when you looked at the individual little clouds, say, forming over the volcanoes, you could really see the edges of those triangles. And the the real kind of breakthrough came when I kind of recursively or like almost like fractally used that texture, where I looked up a value in it at one scale, and then I also animated that over time, and then I used that as input to modify how I was reading that same texture again at a different scale, and that gave me all these lovely swirly patterns. And if you're in the chat, you can go ahead and say hi. Tell me what you think. So right now, I've had a lot of kind of names that I've been considering for the game. It's the game where you have a pet planet basically, and the planet can turn out all sorts of different ways depending on how you set it up initially. It can support life. It could get hit by a meteor. All these things. And so with that life part, I thought a galaxy garden, like you're almost like you're keeping care of your pet planet like a garden. I thought about Pet Rock Simulator as a joke. I kind of liked the name Terra, Terra. And I probably would have been likely to go with that, except for there's a game called Terra, Terra, and I didn't want to create any like confusion there. Then thinking about that Galaxy Garden, Planet Garden, all these different names, somehow I came like it seemed like an obvious permutation now, but to call it Gardens of the Galaxy, sort of like a pun. So that's kind of what I'm working with right now. And did you model the mesh after your favorite tank top? Disast Earth as a name? Thanks for asking the messages. I'm not sure what you mean by the tank top. Did something about it remind you of like a shirt in the video? Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, Adam. Oh my God, that is the worst pun ever. It might be worse than mine. It's like so obscure. I don't even think about calling like a shirt a mesh. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm here. And in the video, you saw everything changing really quickly, and that helps me for development and also helps show off the game. But when it's out there, things are going to change a lot slower, so you can just leave it running on your desktop, and you can check it back in from time to time to see how things have changed. So there is that. I also did a little work building a website previously. If you went to dissidentlogic.com, it just forwarded to the paper-bound website. But now I set up something just basic. I think it looks neat and tidy enough. Nothing crazy. It's not going to win any awards, but I think also it won't offend. And I didn't want to spend a ton of time, but since I am going to be looking for a publisher, I thought I should have a website for the company. Oh, thanks, man. One thing I really, it's really helpful to get feedback. On Facebook, I was asking for feedback on the business card, and some of that actually led into me making a slight tweak to the website, where someone was like, "Oh, it hurts my eyes to look at this logo." And I think because like the black and the red were so intense, so I actually made some changes, and I came here on the website, and I noticed like most, it's kind of like muted, soft gray and white stuff, but the logo is really strong, so I kind of put a little bit of a whitish layer with a slight opacity over the top of it, just to mute the colors a little bit. Yeah, an inviting site they can go to is important for sure. So, and I modeled it just basically off of a couple websites I saw for other indie devs. So obviously the company stuff here. I need to take that Twitter stuff off the top because that shouldn't be there. It should just be the company logo. I'm gonna. I was also working on business cards, so I'll fix that after the stream. But you got some social media links here, list of the games. You can click on that stuff and it takes you to the website. And just a little blurb about company. I figured you have to say something. this is a little weird because it's, while there is a team that I was very happy to work with that built Paperbound, the company itself is just me. So that's all I have here right now, and then some contact info. And so it's pretty basic, but it gives, I think, people, what they need to know about the company at a glance. Yeah, red is like a really intense color. In fact, I think when you have like night mode on phones, I think it takes out the reds, or maybe the blues even, I forget. But so yeah, that's the website. That's my task set. I use Trello. And what else did I want to show? Oh yeah, I can show you the game just running instead of watching that pre-recorded video. Which all I really did was hit play here. You can see there's your planet, and I like how the darkness of that ash and soot contrasts with that volcanic lava color right there. And I think I really need to play that up in the primordial state of the planet. So the goal of the game, I like to say it's the only game where you have a pet planet. And I also say it's an interactive idle game and a relaxing god game. So the idea is you have this planet and you set up the initial parameters, like how far is it from its star, does it have any tilt axis when it rotates, does it have any tilt angle when it rotates around its axis, which creates seasons, for example. Should not, man, I now that you say that, I kind of want to put the Hulk Hogan costume, a pic photo on the business card. I think that's what'll sell people on working with me. Yeah, Mountain, exactly. Yeah, that is the primary game that I've been referencing as the closest comparison to like where what the experience is like, and also the market opportunity. I was pretty excited that Mountain, it's a $1 game, but it looks like they sold a few 100,000 copies. No, bad, no. You can't stop me and my yellow banana hammock. What? I totally lost. Yeah, so it's like Mountain. The only thing is, Mountain, I didn't realize at first, but now I realize it's published by Double Fine, so I'm sure that was a huge factor in getting to the sales figures they had, which even more points to the importance of getting a publisher. But you're right that this is a more interactive one. Like basically, you do have some setup in the beginning. It can give you some presets probably where you don't have to do anything if you want, but it's actually pretty fun. In addition to just watching it evolve, you can actively play with it. If I... Oh, that's right. I have a bug right now where if the planet rotates, my raycasts are off, so I might be like drawing in the wrong place. But basically, let me restart it. You can draw on the terrain, raise stuff up. Actually, what I'm gonna do is turn off the rotation, and that'll fix that problem for me for now. So now I can draw, and you can see I'm kind of raising up some mountains from under the lava. And there's actually a really cool water simulation that's going on that I'll show you once it rains. Woo! Looks like I got a new follower, thanks. Is that you, Adam? So there's the ice forming, and if I raise the land, you can see it's sort of pushing the water out of the way, and I can even like form like pools, and then I can let it drain out. So there's a lot that I've got going on here. Alright, cool. Well, I'm not actually watching the video, so I didn't see who it was that subscribed. I need to, I guess, get I'm pretty new to the streaming, so there are a few things I still need to figure out, but whoever, not subscribe, but follows, thank you for that. Thanks, man, I'm glad you like it. Calypsian or some name. Oh, that's probably Keegan. yeah, you set it up in the beginning, and then you let it run. And if you want, you can play with it, right, with the terraforming and stuff, or you can just sit back and relax, work, play League or Dota or Overwatch or my favorite Rocket League, whatever you want. And then when you're waiting on matchmaking, you check back and see what's changed. And that's kind of the gist of it. And there are lots of things you can sort of add on to that basic idea, but that's the basic idea. It's sort of as interactive or as idle as you want. I've had a lot of fun just forming the terrain, and I even have a tool where I can just throw down some lava, and that's a lot of fun. And I had fun making the lava simulation. And then once the lava cools, it turns into hard volcanic rock. Destruction events. I do want to have the possibility that a giant meteor or asteroid can fly into your planet, and that can wreak havoc on it. I want to do a lot of stuff with a lot of the initial idea was actually, so I lived in Seattle for a while, and they have what they call a temperate rainforest up there, just these lush green environments that are in a large part, they're created partly by the moist winds that come off the sea, and then also by the huge mountains that cool that air as it tries to rise over the mountains and create all that rain, and then it's kind of desert on the other side. So thinking about that, I thought it'd be cool to have a little toy where you can sort of set up landscapes and then see how the shape of the land affects the weather patterns. And then you can get life and vegetation in some areas, desert in other areas. And what's really funny is I left this running overnight just to see what would happen, and I came back and the planet was gone. It looked like this. Boom. Where's my? Actually, not even like that. It didn't have the. No, it did have the atmosphere. I was like, where's my planet? And then I zoomed out, and then there it is. And the volcanoes had been growing for so long that the planet grew huge, way bigger than how far I had been zoomed out. So I have to do some adjustments at some point to make sure the planet doesn't have a magical increase in mass. Crusted crows. And I also have a little atmosphere around it. I was having a hard time tweaking it to get it to look just the way I wanted, but let's see if you can see a little more there. At one point I had it looking kind of soft, but I changed the math a little. Now it's not looking quite the way I wanted it to look. There was also a depth of field effect here that looked good at certain times. At first, when I set up, it looked good, and as I was playing the game, I noticed sometimes it didn't quite do what I wanted. So I can show you that, but I think what looks good is we can get just a little bit around the edge, and if there's any mountain sticking out the backside of the planet, you get a little bit of depth of field on it. Where'd my depth of field go? Oh, there it is. So that's a little too strong, I think. Right there, it looks good. There's okay. I would, at that point, I would want to reduce it a little bit so you can see it a little more clearly around the outsides. But I think it really adds sort of a look of quality, and I really like what it does with the stars in the background, is where it blurs those stars, so you can really focus on the planet. Last night, part of this, I didn't have much going for the clouds, but I'm happy now with how they're rendering. Basically what I do is I do a simulation at every point on the planet, and I have how much water is in the air, what is the temperature, what is the pressure, and then based on that I can figure out how much condensation is there and render the clouds. And the clouds basically just use the same sphere that the planet uses, but scaled up. I can show you here the wireframe. We have 3 concentric ones, one for the planet itself, one for the clouds, and one for the outer atmosphere. And I just sort of use that information about the amount of water in the air and these cloud textures to just kind of give it in some magic math and just give it a nice look. And then one thing I also do with the clouds is I make them, just for the look of it, conform to the surface a little bit. So you can see, like, I raised up that volcano and like the clouds. The clouds I think look really nice with the depth of field. The hot lava not so much, it kind of can flicker a little bit, but it conforms a little bit to the shape of the terrain. And I added some stuff also where I can look at different properties on the surface. So here you can see I'm looking at the surface temperature all over the planet. So it's a little, and this is in what's called Kelvin units. So like Kelvin freezing point is 273 and the boiling point is 373. So that area I was looking at just froze over. And that's the boiling point with like normal Earth atmosphere pressure. And you know, it's cold over here, only 230, and I can look at different stuff. Where is my tool on the camera? So like I can look at how much water is there on the surface. So it's like really deep over here and shallower over here because I've been pushing the land up. I can look at the relative humidity. Right now it's kind of at equilibrium everywhere, so it's at 100%, which is something I need to work on in the future, so I can, like, in real life the air isn't always at 100% everywhere. That'd be like Florida everywhere, which wouldn't be good. We'd all be Florida men. And then the air temperature, which is calculated separately from the land temperature. And right now I have like a 1-layer atmosphere. I'm debating if I should have a 2-layer atmosphere. And yeah, that's the clouds. It took me a while to get that working in the debugging view. Sometimes what I do if I want to debug stuff is, before I had that little tool where I could see the values in the corner there, I would have to go to the shader that renders each individual pixel for the planet, and then I would have to go do like output colors and then, you know, interpret those colors as values, which is a little bit tedious but sometimes really cool looking. So that's, if I want to look at, for example, elevation, I can do, and it's in meters, so maybe divide by like 1,000. If that does anything. Maybe I didn't raise it up that high. Am I not? And sometimes I have to like check my own sanity to make sure that okay, so okay, so there you can see like the places where it was raised up, and that looks like a pretty cool like cartoon lava already, so you get like cool stuff. And then you can do stuff like I call it cell shading. And that didn't really do as much, but I was trying to get like almost like lines of like elevation lines, like on a topography map or something. So let me see if I can get something like that. Okay, so there's like a discrete thing there. I don't know why it's all maxing out. But anyway, that's some of the kind of stuff that I can do to visualize. But I like having this thing in the corner where I can just look at the values. Like blood pools, the blood battle planet. Yes. And oh, that reminds me. So one thing that I'm going to look at here pretty soon on the stream is color palettes. I want to be able to have planets that have different colors just to keep it visually interesting, make some good screenshots, and let me see where that is in my list of things I wanted to show. It looks like it's the next thing, so perfect segue. So I added the ability to have some color palettes. So for example, I have this tan color for the land, and I can change it to purple if I want. Purple planet. And I have one color for like the basic thing, and then I have another color for like volcanic rock. Now I have green volcanic rock. In the future, I think different textures will be on the horizon. But for right now, it's colors. One of the things I want to do soon is actually to map some textures to the surface of the planet. Like I have a mapping that I use, for example, for the clouds and for affecting the ice patterns here, which is one of my favorite things to look at, is just to see that ice grow and shrink. I can put some heat on there. Maybe that's too much heat. I can, like peeing in the snow, I can draw my name. And if I make a really big brush, ooh, I boiled the sea there. Like apparently I can't make it at the slight heat that I want. I only have like an option to do really intense heat. Yeah, dude, it's all a physical simulation. So that's why you get above the volcanoes, these clouds above them, because like they grew out of the ocean and boiled all the water away. One thing I need to fix is like you can see it's got that kind of star pattern, which also matches like how the lava flows, and that's kind of due to just the triangulation of the mesh. You've got all these triangles here. It's kind of harder to see now that I have 3 layers of them, but I think the first thing is just to try a more finely detailed mesh and see how much that helps the problem. But that's definitely another thing to work on. It's amazing like how many little things you have to fix when you try to do a crazy simulation like this. And the cool thing is like it's simulating. Let's see how many points are on my planet here. The mesh has 40,000 verts, which actually I consider low. I know I've worked with like 700,000 at one point I was playing around with, and the computer handles it no problem because it's all running on the GPU on the graphics card, which, my background doing graphics programming came in handy there. Why am I not painting any heat? There we go. I want to throw some lava down. Oh, look at that. It's like those Sky Riders. And I wonder what's going to happen first, if the ice will freeze over, if those clouds will dissipate. Looks like the clouds are dissipating first. And you can also see that there's like volcanic rock under the water there too. And I have a pretty realistic, not like Far Cry realistic, but pretty good shader for the land. So if I go back to my color palette and I make it like a tan color again, where is my color palette? You can see I get that kind of turquoise color in the water where it's shallow, just like in real life, because I was modeling it basically on how water affects light. So that's a pretty cool thing. But you get weird stuff too, like that I didn't expect, where like that black volcanic rock under the water looks kind of green. Actually, that's green there because I can change the palette color. But even without the palette color change, You can get some weird colors under the sea. Under the sea. Man, I'm really having fun now that like all these things are in place with the lava and the volcanic rock and the water simulation and the evaporation and clouds. Like, it's a lot of fun to play with. And I could do a little bit to hide the fact that there are triangles there. You can kind of see them there, and I have some ideas for that I just need to play with. So anyway, I was out in the world, in the real world, and I saw some like home decorations and stuff and thought like, oh, that's a cool color palette. You know, maybe I can use those as examples for the game. So I wanted to, on the stream, try playing around with some of those. So here's some of the images. This one, I don't know. Maybe I could do something with the sky colors, but and that's not really one of them. But that's just a cool photo I took. So like I like the purple here and the blue together on these like pots or whatever they are, and then mixed with the green. I thought was really nice. The blue and the red and the gold and the green here, or and the yellow even. I don't have as many colors as I have here, but this all kind of looks good together. So I'm going to try a few of these, just pick colors. I like these little mushroom things with the teal and the blue and the orange. These are some paintings. My girlfriend and I went to a little painting event the other day and made these, and so I thought I could try applying some of those. I think, which ones do I want to do first? I think I want to go for this purple, blue, turquoise, green combo, or maybe even this peach color. And so let's try it out. So I'm gonna use a color. So the color here is, so it has red, green, and blue values. Red is 3. I can see it kind of at the top of the screen here when I hold the mouse down. Blue is 160. Green is 162, and blue is 245. So let's do that. Something in that range. I've already had my goldfish memory strike. 11, 159, 249. 11, 159, and these don't have to be super precise. Oh, you saw the painting on Facebook? Cool. I was pretty happy with how it turned out. If we take a look at it here, by accident at one point I actually accidentally put a little red streak, and so then I tried to like counteract by just doing these like anime streaks, and I actually think that turned out really good. The green body of the cactus is pretty good. I was trying to do some shading and then like had some errant streaks and didn't have enough time/paint to fix it, so I don't really love how this looks right here. At least you could tell it's a cactus. Mission accomplished. These two flowers on the left, they're okay, but I was actually really happy with how this one turned out, and it had like a solid surface to it. So I think my like time looking at lighting in video games helped me kind of paint something that looked kind of nice there, and it turned out really better than I expected. So I really like this rose here, but these other two I'm a little more iffy on. I spent some time trying to get nice, crisp, clean lines, and for the most part I succeeded on that. But I really like on the one on the right how these two left flowers look with the clean lines and sort of the concentric nature of going from like the darker pink to the lighter pink to the white to the red. Yeah, this one right here definitely looks the most 3D. I tried to work in some later on some little bit of shading on the cactus here, but we didn't get a lot of paint or a lot of time. I think it was about 2 hours painting this thing. A lot of that's just like filling in the bulk of the color, and then you try to mix stuff and you mess up and you have to do it again. Like the physical aspect of real life painting with the mixing and smushing of the things is so much different from digital painting. But oh yeah, the color palettes. So I made my land that kind of blue, and I want to make my lava that purplish color. 157, 111, 184. So now I've got that going on. And then that purple is gonna, a lot of it's gonna be end up being under the sea. And I don't know why the water hasn't fallen off this planet here. It should have. Like the places where I raised up the land, I don't know what's going on with that. It's gonna be just some setting or something, or maybe I commented out some code or something. Like maybe, let me look at my simulation code and see if I disabled it somehow. Doesn't look like it. But yeah, but I was gonna raise up the land a little bit. And now even the water, I'm gonna restart the simulation here. It looks like even the water's not boiling when I put down the lava, which is weird. I wonder if it got into some sort of bed. Oh man, that looks cool with the orange too. So my water is blue. I can affect the watercolor too with the palette, but it's not as direct because the water acts more by absorbing light based on how deep the light has to travel. Like the light reflects from the ground, land on the bottom, and then passes through the water, and some wavelengths get absorbed, whereas lighting on the surface of the planet is a little more direct. Wow, that's a cool color of the water there. And then let me throw some lava in there to scorch the earth. I have a serious scorched earth policy. So that looks pretty cool. And I can try some other colors from that photo, like the green and the purple maybe. And that's mostly green with a little bit of blue. So let me go back to my palette, and I'm going to replace the blue this time. That looks pretty cool too. A little bit different from here, not as saturated. It might be the post-process. Actually even here it doesn't look as saturated. So let me take out some of the blue. And maybe make this purple a little more saturated. Yeah. Tweak it around a little bit. We'll try some other photos. So this is, I've become used to, like, when I see something cool, I'll take a photo in case I can use it as a color palette in the future. Or I had this other idea for making a game where you grow trees, and so like every time I saw a cool tree, I was taking a photo of it. So let's try these, maybe the blue and the red with the yellow somehow. Actually, let me try just playing with the water color too. So you can see, ooh, that looks pretty good. With this, it's helpful to use this color wheel and move through different hues just to see what looks good, as opposed to using the center thing, which the center thing is your brightness and what's called saturation, which is like how dull or intense the color is, and then the wheel is your hue, which is like your different colors of the rainbow. Ooh, I like that. The purple and the pink in the ocean. And so let's try this red and blue. So what is this blue? 4080. Seems way too low. I must have picked it bad. Bad pixel. I want something a little brighter. A little more blue. And then this kind of dull red color. I'm just gonna use the color wheel instead of trying to actually copy the values. That looks alright, and I could also reverse them. Don't have a quick and easy way to swap, but and then I can make it kind of pastels too. So that is a crazy looking planet. Wow, I kind of want to take a screenshot of that. Okay, and what other images do we have here? Maybe the yellow with the dark red? Let's try that. It's like a yellow-green. That seems about right, and then the dark red for the other one. And my ocean, I need to do something with that. And I don't currently have a color palette thing for the ice, but I should probably have an entry for that as well. Oh wow, if I go black, shit gets weird. If I go full absorption. I could also do like the orange and the light blue. So I think the orange will be the base and the light blue will be more like the accent. And I wonder if I can get a good watercolor going to match all this stuff. I don't know why the water transmission color is affecting the land so much. Something weird is going on. So I don't know what the heck is going on with that. That is bizarre. And the thing is, all the changes I made kind of saved. So I'm going to set things back the way they were. Oh yes, and this one. Mesmerizing swirly clouds. I don't know why that terrain is so dark. It's volcanic terrain, it seems. Oh, but now it's cooling, kind of over time, turning back into normal colored stuff. So So I'll do this like that turquoise color. That's like a glowing turquoise. I kind of like it. I think the post process is making it super hot. And maybe there's a little bit darker blue, a little bit more saturated, or not saturated, but just more blue. That looks pretty cool. I'll take a screenshot of that too. Some of this stuff could be useful marketing stuff. I know I've been creating these GIFs, and just today I posted a little video that I recorded. Been posting the GIFs on Reddit with not too much success there in terms of getting a ton of upvotes, but maybe I just gotta get the right combination of things. And then I kind of want to tone down the intensity on this one a little bit. See how that looks. Ooh, that looks almost like ice. That's pretty cool. The way that kind of lavender color looks, it can work with almost anything as long as it's not too saturated, I think, or too dark. Ooh, that looks pretty cool too. What did my other screenshot look like? This, the thing I like about this is it brings some other colors in there. This is like a lot of like blue and turquoise. There's some flashing going on there. I think that's the post process actually. And then maybe the turquoise with a little bit of these orange accents instead, so swap it around. I thought I was clicking on Unity, I was clicking on a screenshot. That's hilarious. Just gonna kind of eyeball it instead of looking at the actual numbers. I'm gonna put a little more of the second color in there. Creating those clouds. I think I want to, just for my own fun, I want to increase the speed at which the lava slides around. Okay, now let's go back to the color palette and do some damage. So I need to use some textures to handle the blending between these two colors a little better. You see I'm doing a little bit, but I'm not doing enough to hide the shape of the triangles. So that's pretty cool. I should probably take some screenshots like this with the lava. Now that one was already darkened a little bit. Sometimes I like something at one moment and then I come back to it later. I'm like, maybe it's not so cool. But if I keep coming back to it and I still like it, there's probably something there. And then also, show it to other people. Okay, cool. Yeah, the depth of field. So, like I said, there's an issue with the depth of field where right here it actually looks pretty good. Sometimes I'm like, I'm happy with it all around, and sometimes I'm like, no. I don't like when I get really close how much it affects things. So so what I have is actually, where is it called? On the camera, I have this thing that I call dynamic depth of field. And basically I just have a set of lines, and based on how far you are from the planet, it'll do some interpolate. It'll pick one of those lines to interpolate along. And so like I have a line that starts at when you're 0.95 units away from the planet to when you're 0.6, and it interpolates between these two values, and then so it just kind of does it piecewise like that. And so I just might need to add some newer values. So so I'm going to see like how far am I actually from the surface here. So I'm going to step through the code for just a second here, just to see. So we're at 0.72, so that's like you're closer than any of my points here. So that's probably a big clue. I'm like Sherlock Holmes over here on a regular sleuth. And so if I say at point, what was it, 7.2? I add a new point in there. And I gotta figure out the value, so I'm just gonna play with it. With the aperture size. See if that affects anything. Oh, I've got my script overriding, so I gotta turn that script off for a second. So that actually looks pretty good. Maybe just a little softness right at the edge. So what's weird is, if I remember correctly from real photography, a bigger aperture gives you more of a depth of field effect, but here it seems to be the opposite. So I can just tweak the sliders until I find something that I like. It's a little too much, I think. I don't know. Kind of like the soft edge, kind of don't. But I think there's too much blur like right here too. I think that is a good value, 11.3. So let me write that down. .72, 11.3. So now I have to go and tweak my curves. So first I have to annoyingly just kind of propagate everything down, since the point that I want to add is going to be at the beginning. What's weird is the values I get like aren't going just in one particular direction. Like they start at 11, then it goes down to 7, then down to 3. Oh, I guess they are going in a particular direction. Okay, never mind. Don't make me do it. You won't be the same if I have to twerk my curves. Alright, so now if I zoom out, and then, yeah. Don't have a lot of detail yet, so let me go ahead and do some stuff. Comes back in with fear. The blood planet. like a spaceman. That's a decent photo to take too. Photo, screenshot. Screenshot. I don't know, what do you think of all these images? Do any stand out to you as being cool looking? Kind of like that one just because there's so much chaos and lava's always good. That one's kind of neat too. It almost looks like a little spaceman or something. So I think I like that one. And that one. And maybe that one, just because it's so crazy. That one's kind of pretty. The mushroom one. Is that this one? So let's call this Journey. This is Cool Blue Ice. This is Indigestion. This is like, yeah, this is like Cute Mars. Oh, fuck off. And this is like Rivers of Blood. Oh, and I don't know if you saw any of the GIFs I made. I want to go play with some of the stuff here too on my planet. So if I want, I can go crazy and do like a ton of volcanoes. Like, a lot. And they just start popping up everywhere. Wow. And I eventually want to tie that to kind of like how hot the core of the planet is, because I have a core planet temperature. And that's right here. So like I say, it's at 6,000 degrees, but if I want, I can make it like 10,000 degrees, and that's enough to warm it up to get rid of that ice. And if I go somewhere in between, maybe I'll get a little bit of ice. My surf, it's like the water simulation. It's doing something there. You know what it might be? It might have something. So my rain doesn't move around at all. It might just be like raining in that one spot. And it's piling up, but then it should diffuse around. But I can also reduce my core temperature, and or it can also change like how quickly the heat comes from the core to the surface. And now I've also got the sun going around, and you can see this ice is sort of like, where's the sun going at? I rotated so much. Okay, it's kind of melting that ice, and then the ice probably comes back when night comes. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. The ice is maybe a little too like thin and stringy looking. I think it looks cool as an effect, but not, I don't know if it's really how ice would look. Very hectic right now, very interesting, cool. I want that sun to come back around. So I like to take a couple and see if one looks better than the other. That one has more of the chaos feeling. And it's cool how you get that little like ring of the clouds there. But I like the hot lava right here in this one. Yeah, it's crazy. I have like all this lava and ice at the same time. I need to still like balance out There's a lot that's physically based here, but there's a little bit that's hacked, and I need to slowly replace the way I'm doing some of the calculations with stuff that's more and more physically based. Wow. That looks cool, all the lava spewing out. Let me get rid of this stupid car. What am I looking at here? Okay, that's better. Look at it. I never know. Yeah, see, that's kind of the thing. You look back and it's different now, and that's kind of what I'm going for, except just over a longer period of time. And it is, you play one day, you get one planet, you play another day, you set it up differently, you get something totally different happening. What the heck? I lost my train of thought. I lost it. Depth of field. So how's I think the depth of field is good. Oh, weird. I guess I had the camera's draw distance there. She isn't that far. I might eventually have to deal with the fact that the camera can clip into your planet. And right now I kind of have it where it deforms a lot. When you raise up the land, it makes it really absurdly, unrealistically high. I can tweak that a bit. Maybe if I want to make it feel like the planets are bigger, and then I'll reduce that, because you'll be closer to the surface. I'm close to the surface. Where's my renderer? So when Unity displays your mesh, it doesn't really know, I guess, in here how to do all the crazy stuff I'm doing with compute shaders to render it, and with so it gets nuts in this preview here. So yeah, displacement scale, I can kind of shrink everything down a bit, and even that little bit's still unrealistic. But it allows me to get closer to the surface. And at some point, right now, you can just sort of orbit around the camera, around the planet. But at some point, it'd be cool to kind of get closer and kind of look in different directions. Oh, and I was talking earlier about, so there's Mountain, right? And there are two other games that I feel relate to this a bit. I could maybe say that this is a cross between Mountain and Universe Simulator. Universe Sandbox. But that one's more focused on having a lot of different stuff, a lot of planets and stars and things, and doing gravity simulations between them. Or this is more focused just on what's going on the one planet. I wonder if I could even work No Man's Sky into the pitch, because when you do pitch a game, you often say this meets that. And the other thing is, someone told me recently about this phone game called Terra Genesis, where it's yeah, you create a planet and you terraform it. I'm always focused on one body. If anybody's watching this and you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm looking at the chat there, and Midstar says, right, this is much more focused on one body. Body meaning the planet. Yeah, in that game, I played a bit of it, and it's serving a different purpose in this game. That game gives you a planet with a preset sort of surface mapped onto it, and then you can look at the planet and it's like a simulation management game where you have bases that can pump out oxygen and water and heat and all these different things, and so it's a little bit sort of, I guess, RTS-y, except there's no battle. And you have to make your people happy a little bit. But it did look cool that it did some real atmospheric simulation, and you can get vegetation growing different areas. You have your water level rise up. Hashtag awkward stream. I never said that. He's a creep, people. So that be so weird if I just said if you have no context, I just say that out of nowhere. Um, but let's take a look at a couple of these games. And I need to save color palettes from those photos instead of just editing the one that I have. So I'll go back to that in a second. You can see my backlog here. Some other things I want to do is like use more physically accurate stuff. So like right now, the surface of the planet and the air, will radiate heat out from the planet, and that's like the primary way, well, really the only way it cools. Am I gonna hide parameters behind questions or anything? That there's a little bit TBD. I don't want to like make it scary technical for people. At first, I was thinking like some pretty simple parameters like the tilt of the axis of rotation relative to how it orbits around the star, how far it is from the star, what's the radius of your planet. So not like crazy stuff, just like maybe like 4 or 5 parameters. So for anybody else watching, so when you start, Mitsar is asking, so when you start, are you going to hide parameters behind questions or anything like that? Like your starting world is a series of questions and the answers are then a seed or anything. So sounds like you must have played Mountain is my guess. And he gives examples. How do you feel today? What is your mindset at this very moment? Then it mixes in like the time of day or something. The answer is I don't know. I think at least want to have an option where you can like manually play with that stuff if you're kind of curious and learning. Like one of the ideas that I've had for this is like this is an entertainment product, but like if you have real math in there, there's a potential it could be, this or a version of this could fit in the educational game category too, and then maybe could apply for like a grant. I absolutely have Mountain. It's a good answer. I think it's good to keep it open and not settle it yet. Cool. Because like I said, like the inspiration for this game was just thinking about how the mountains in Washington affect the climate, and so like the local climate there. So like there is like you can learn real principles even though it's if you like pay attention and analyze it. Even though it's meant to just sort of be like sit back and relax and see what happens. So yes, Mountain is the one game. And another thing that I was thinking about is that if you wanted to make it put a little more emotion in it, the planet itself could have emotions or thoughts like, oh, I'm feeling indigestion and like lots of volcanoes erupt, or maybe this is, oh, I'm feeling cold, so you need to do something to try to like warm up the planet. Or maybe I feel microwaved because it's like really hot on one side and really cold on the other. So if we look at Universe Sandbox, just take a quick look at the trailer here. So there's a planet, and then the crazy thing was when I was looking at this, I did actually find a blog post where they were starting to do some climate simulation on the planet, but it's, even though it looks like a lot of local stuff, I think a lot of the calculations are done at a more global scale, and it only, I think, applies like you have Earth basically, like you're not shaping the land and having that affect things. So it's a much simpler simulation. So Metsar says, that sounds cool, course correcting depending on what feedback your pet planet gives you. Yeah, and that could be nice, like a way to like, because I think there are ways where, say like you want life to develop, like in the real universe there's a very narrow range of conditions that actually generates life, so the game needs to be able to guide you into that somehow. And so you can see like millions of little particles here that's simulating the gravity for. You know, one thing I thought of, like, and this is like down the road of maybe, and all the rings of Saturn are simulated as little gravity bodies hitting that planet. So it's like, Universe Sandbox is kind of like a Planet Smasher game. That's how I would pitch it. It's a Planet Smasher game. Look at them all on a line there. Right, so it's just about the interactions between multiple bodies. A couple of things that I thought could be cool down the road, but aren't really the core of the game. But potentially, now that's cool looking to see all that. Down the road is like when like another big thing collides with your planet, like a giant meteor, that it can like turn the planet into millions of little rocks, and then it can do a simulation as they all like collide and flow around each other. Why am I a monster? I don't know what that was referring to. I just talk so much, I forget what I said 5 seconds ago. And the other thing is, like, maybe there could be like a sort of, like, you create a planet and if you're focused on your planet, but maybe you see your other planets in the background, or maybe there could even be an online part where like it shows planets of your friends floating in the background. A Planet Smasher simulation. So I'm curious, like, how would you pitch this game, you know? Like, what would, like, you gotta think, like, what's the hook, what's the thing that's going to pique people's interest? And I have, you know, sometimes you, and also, like, how do you describe it, like, in a way that makes sense to people? Sorry, I'm used to Mixer where combo is real time. You know, actually on Twitch, I think it's gotten a lot faster. I know that was a big thing about Mixer, is like the low latency, but I remember like a couple years ago, you know, you'd have minimum 15 seconds latency on Twitch. But it seems to have gotten faster, but still not real time. And then also depends on when I look back at the chat to actually see what people are writing. And actually, I am broadcasting to Mixer, to Facebook Live, to Twitch, and YouTube. I think it's called YouTube Live at the same time. But Twitch, I think, is kind of the main home I want to use. Unfortunately, Mixer doesn't have the same like tags and category stuff that Twitch is. Mixer seems really focused on just game players. Like, you know, you enter the game you want to play. It doesn't seem like, it doesn't have, Twitch has like, you can have tags and search for those tags, and you also set a category, like this is in science and technology, I think is what I have, and then I have tags of game development, software development. So, well, I was thinking, oh, well, maybe Ninja moved over to Mixer, maybe it would be a good time to get on like a growing platform, but they just don't have the support for the creative types, the creative channels. And then, but I think I get more people right now actually watching on Facebook, but hopefully, but I don't think you can really grow a big audience there. I think Twitch is maybe a better home to grow an audience. Yeah. And I looked at like found some blog posts from like last year where it said like you could set like game development category or something, but when I looked all over Twitch, I mean Mixer, the past couple of days I didn't see anything. So maybe Microsoft has a way of like removing features and canceling things, and just saying like, you know what, we're not going to support this anymore. We're changing how it works. So that's the Universe Sandbox, and then there's the other game, which is Terra Genesis, which is actually a phone game. The cool thing about Terra Genesis is you can like, you know, set up shop, set your little colony doing stuff, and then you stop playing the game, you come back later, and it's updated based on the time that passed. Most people just put them in their titles, it turns out. But it does have all the mobile game stuff where it says, hey, you can get more stuff if you watch this video. You know, they use lingo of in-game to try to make it seem less jarring. and then you can do microtransactions to buy like points to use in the game. But like, I just have an allergic reaction to all that mobile economics shit. I also just described Google. Like, maybe I'm just an old man Dan, but I like to be able to just buy a game and play it without all that stuff. So like, I feel like the game could be described sort of as a mashup of these games. I don't know if it's stretching too far to put No Man's Sky into it a little bit, because you don't have an avatar that you're exploring with, but No Man's Sky has all those procedurally generated planets that are interesting to explore. But right now, if I were to describe it like this meets that, I would say Mountain meets Universe Sandbox. And then if I were like to describe it not in that way, just try to describe the game directly itself, I like to say it's the only game where you have a pet planet. You want a much more casual game than people feeling like they're actually building a planet, but more like you're helping one along. Yeah, that's a good description. Like, I don't want it to, like, that Terra Genesis game is like this, right? It's this technical management kind of game, and I want something just more relaxing, like Mountain. Wow, look at all those images I took. And break up surface noise tiling. So I'm trying to remember exactly what I was referring to here. If it was the clouds, I kind of fixed that. I do need a better way to, I think, map textures onto the surface of this thing, and I can also just try mapping some like directly onto the surface, not just onto the clouds, and maybe it's kind of related to like getting rid of these edges and making those look better. And one thing that I'm a little bit torn on is, like, right now I have these different colors in the palette, and I have these 3 values in the shader that kind of helps it fade between them. But I'm also debating, and that's sort of like the data stored at each point in the surface is like how much of each of those 3 colors, but I could also just have it store red, green, blue RGB values and have those like seeded from that palette, so that each part on the planet can have like a truly unique color, which is cool. The only problem with that is, like, you can't dynamically see the changes like I was doing here to try different stuff out. So yeah, I don't know, because like a planet like Earth has so many different types of rock, you get a lot of different colors, right? Not just 3. But then the nice part about having just those 3 values is you can do some math tricks, since you're interpolating like between 2 different things, like, and that's how I get this kind of noise that looks like rivers of blood instead of just like some low resolution soft blend like Nintendo 64 looking. So for that reason, right now I'm leaning towards just keeping those like 3 weights, kind of like how well, if you're building a game, you have what are called terrain systems, where you lay down like, here's the rock and here's the grass and here's all the different stuff. Volcanoes alone are affected by the type of rock that feeds them. That's a suggestion. That's interesting. Something to think about. The crazy thing about a game like this is there's like, it's like the sky's the limit on like what you could think to put in the simulation. And so every time I hear a cool idea like that, I'm like, and something I'll be thinking about, but I have to keep the scope in check. One of the things I liked about why I chose to do this game now was, it may not seem like it, but I was trying to make a kind of smaller scope game that would only take a couple of months of developing it. If you were to guess, like, how long do you think I've been working on this. And he says, in real life, the silicate values of the rocks that are in the molten state affect how the pressure is built and whatnot. Is this something you just Googled, or is this something that you nerded out on previously? And just agreeing with there are many types of rocks. That is true. I also want to get a higher resolution mesh in here just to make the lava not so predictable when it comes out in these like star patterns. And part of that also is when I make the mountains raise up, I need to have different, like, not just these uniform cones that are rising up, which they're not exactly uniform, because basically it's like if I have my little planet painter brush here, and I'm just sort of like moving it around randomly around a point, but it still doesn't give me the amount of nuanced shape that I want to get cool lava flows. He took a course on it a few years ago. It was very hard. He took a course on what do you call that study of rocks? I used to know words, and now I don't know words anymore. That looks really cool. I want to do that again. Take a screenshot. Volcanism, gotcha. It's a very specific class. But I guess you could say geology more generally. That's how words work. Oh, what I should do, instead of having just played with that, messed up that one color palette, is that I should make multiple color palettes. And this is all dark rock right now because it's still kind of formed from lava. But over time it will turn into the nice sandy stuff. It's not really like a good physical simulation reason for that. I didn't want everything to stay looking black because this planet starts off really hot. Look at that water. Man, I've had so much fun just playing with the water, making it like go in one pool and go in another. And it's fun to make the land rise up and swoopily form different little islands or continents. So where's my brush? The radius smaller. So if I do this enough, unfortunately the ocean's kind of deep here, so it takes a little longer than it used to take me to raise stuff up. But let me show you some GIFs that I had before. Like I really just, it felt so nice and smooth just to paint stuff like that. Is that beautiful turquoise? So right here, for this, you can like really see the shape of the rock. So I'm going to turn off my atmosphere stuff here just so I can look at it a little more clearly. You like the GIFs? Thanks, man. I put them on Reddit. One of them got like, I think the one that got the most upvotes was like 11, so not like crazy success. I'm also, I don't expect them to have hundreds, but I was hoping maybe I could get a little more, but I think I need to just somehow like find the right hooks. Even sometimes I think the way you, like the subject line you use can help a lot. Like, right, this one, got 14 now. making an island and then watching it burn. You know, that one got the most, and I think just the title enticed more people to check it out. Whereas this one, sometimes I find it relaxing to make nice islands in the Planet Simulator. Had only one, and this one had 7, which is kind of working with that tagline I have of having a pet planet. And so yeah, don't want that anymore. So what I need to do is first I want to see if I made any changes. Don't want to lose my work. And then I need to make some other color palettes. Actually, I'm just gonna revert changes to the one color palette. So I want to make a new color palette. And which image should we base it on? Let's go with let's call it the purple turquoise color palette. Oh man, I spelled that thing wrong. I should have one L. Oh well. So I believe I need 3 terrain colors. Yeah. So you can see here, these are the light transmission colors. So like, even though this looks white, the water ends up looking blue, and that's for kind of 2 reasons really. Well, the main is I just have it at the surface. I have like a like a sky reflection color. That's on, and then these things get raised to an exponent, and so see how the red, even though it's high at 0.96, when you do an exponential on it, for very deep water, it really starts to go down, while the blue stays really close to 1 the whole time, and the green's kind of in the middle. So as water is reflected from the solid matter below the water, it kind of only lets in some green, a lot of blue, and almost no red. And what's cool about that is, if I make the water deeper, it actually makes the water darker, like in the real world. It's easier to see if the ice weren't there, but I think you can see that I've got this nice blue hole here. And what's funny is all that water sunk deep down, and it kind of created some dry land below until water comes from all over the planet to fill it back in. So the first time I did that, I was like, "What? How come there's like this ring of land around this hole I'm creating in the middle of the ocean?" And it's just like this massive vacuum pulling in all the water, and it actually made sense when I thought about it that way. So like, you can see at the edge of the planets here, if I make a big hole, my rubbery planet will kind of deform, but then eventually it will fill back in, and that's like a whole planetary scale thing happening, where water is just flowing from all over. I wanted to get a closer look at that lava just because lava's pretty, okay? I think I did a pretty good job of balancing, hiding the polygonal shape of that, where the lava goes, and by giving it kind of a rough edge, but also not like making it too small, because it needs to be big enough to mostly cover this like scorched earth it leaves below. When I first created the scorched earth, the lava like almost directly corresponded to the shape of the triangles, and so then when it faded away and it left the scorched earth below it, like you didn't see the scorched earth kind of pop in. But now, since the lava's a little bit smaller effectively, sometimes you can see little bits of dark matter kind of extend beyond it, but it's subtle enough that I don't think it's going to be a problem. Okay, so now I need to make my purple turquoise color palette. So I'm going to have this over here. here is reference. Let's see if the purple is like 140, 90, 170, something like that. That's the purple. Is that right? Or, what'd I do? I'm gonna zoom in here. Really make sure I get a good value. 160, 110, 190. Okay. Get really different values depending on what exact pixel I click on. 0, 170, 250. Okay. I'm going to save the project, save that new file, and so now I should just be able to go to my planet, pop in, it's on this object, pop in the new color palette, and bam, 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 bam. Then I kind of want a different water color with that somehow. Like, what if my water could be green? That's the alpha, that's not doing anything. Yeah. Get that green water. Don't think I'm loving it though. Don't know why that land color goes crazy. There must be like a divide by 0 in my math or something. That's kind of nice. Semi-greenish kind of water. Except it's so harsh right here. Maybe if I raise up the land a little, it'll be a little smoother. You know what it is really, I think, is when I put those exponential values too low, when you raise it to a high power, it just creates a lot of contrast. So when I'm trying not to make anything below like 0.9. Yeah, that's a lot better. So that's one color palette. Which one? I think I liked this yellow-red one. Let me look at my images again. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a different red, but that's okay. I'm gonna call this the rhubarb lime palette. Like a lime color. I don't know which one I want to be the primary one. We'll find out. I'll just play with it. A little more red. That'll do it. Now let's assign it. That's like a really bright planet. Oh, the bright planet. Wanna put some lava on it. And that's interesting. So you can really see it, when I do that, really see it growing outside the visible lava. And for some reason, This just isn't getting the noise at all. Like the outline is so polygonal. That's something I need to work on here. So let me try swapping those colors though. Close enough. Looks pretty cool. I think it needs to be a little more red. Maybe a little darker. Can't quite get it to match what I'm seeing over here. 140, 40, 40. Let's try that. I think maybe just because of post-process and lighting, I liked it better that way. It's like ketchup and mustard planet. Oh, I want to make a more pastel planet too. And I need to change. What would be good to go with that? Maybe a light blue? Oh, wow. Purple oceans. Look at that. I did not expect. See, it's hard to predict what kind of ocean color you're going to get from this stuff. So, even though these values are all the same, it doesn't give it white, it gives it purple because it's based kind of on this reddish color, which itself is not, an equal distribution. Still would have expected. Apply water is where I do that math. So I have this in the shader. I have this code. What I basically do is I take this transmission factor and then I multiply it by the color of the land below, and then I add some blue in. The water transmission factor is just a POW, which should be the same for all three things. So it should just be, oh, it's purple because it's basically taking that red and adding that little bit of blue of like the sky reflection on top. And that's why. But what if I kind of take out some of this color? I think I liked it better. That, yeah. But do I like this one still? Kind of like that, more purpley. Then maybe this one needs to be adjusted somehow. I think it should be less saturated. That's interesting. Kind of peachy color. Just a white. Almost doesn't. It almost looks bluish by contrast. It's just white. Kind of like that. Scorched white. Maybe a soft pink. Kind of want something the opposite side of the color wheel. But nothing's really wowing me. That really pops. I don't know if I love that, but I'll save it. And wasn't there one more I wanted to do? Red. That red's a good red. What do I want to call that one? Watermelon. Watermelon planet palettes. $250, 60, 60. $250, 60, 60. Oh. Ooh, the black could be cool with that one. That's totally a watermelon planet. Oh my god. Maybe with some... Can I make the oceans green or the oceans... Oh. Some green in there would totally make it watermelon-y. Then make the oceans black. I guess I can't make them black. I should have a color for the surface reflectance of this, basically the sky color. Whoa, that's crazy. The blue has almost no effect because there's almost no blue to begin with. There's some green. It's on, yeah, it's on the outside like the rind. I like that. So then this guy will go back to being black. This is my watermelon planet. Oh, that's too much contrast. At some point I need to figure out how to improve this right here. That's my watermelon palette. But not the one I intended to make. I just wanted this guy. It's almost like chewing gum too. Do I like it more pale or more colorful? I think that, and I need to make like a pastel one too. Maybe even a little less saturated, huh? Stick with that. Okay. Now we're gonna make the one I originally wanted to make, which was for this guy. Should have saved it in the first place. New color palette to the rescue. Call it Red Man. Assign it to my planet. How do I get that to... That's almost there. Too many parameters to change. I feel like this one is just a little warmer, a little more intense. That seems right. Okay. I guess I'll make this like a yellow. Or maybe not. I think I like that blue. Yeah, like sky blue. Ice blue. Kind of, that lava looks kind of jarring. I need like a lava color in the palette too. So let me go ahead and do that actually. Do some actual coding. I need to look at where I actually do that stuff. No, it's just in the surface shader. Compute lava color. So I think I just have like a hard-coded color in here somewhere. Oh no, there's lava color in the material. Perfect. What is my lava color? So I'm going to just capture that data. And I wonder if that's the original default that I programmed, or if I tweaked it in the editor. Kind of looks like it. Right, 3 times 255, which is maximum color value. Yeah, it's just using that original value, so I can copy that. So now let's go to the palette. Public color, lava color. Put this new color. Bam, 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 bam. And what is lava color in the shader? Set as a color, so that should just work. I don't know why the game didn't just crash there, because normally when I recompile code when it's running, something goes crazy. So that was... Okay, there we go. Alrighty. So the lava looks the same as before, but I should be able to change this and get some weird stuff. But it's not happening. You know why? I put in the wrong string. That'll do it. I've got about 10 more minutes to stream. If there's anything you want to ask or say, digitally spit in my face, anything you want to see, if anything you want me to try, let me know. Where's my lava? So I'm going to assign my rhubarb just for the heck of it, because I don't really care too much if I mess up its... That watercolor looks nice. This doesn't really look rhubarby. What happened? The water isn't receding. That's weird. It seems like sometimes that happens. It's hard to debug these compute shaders. I wonder if, like... That looks pretty freaking cool, though, I have to say. I keep getting surprised and impressed by the stuff my own program images my own program makes. There we go. Maybe just because it was icy. That looks pretty cool too. I need to just stash these all in a folder and pick. I always have trouble picking screenshots. And the funny thing is, none of these are even. The game's gonna end up looking, I think, quite different by the time it's done anyway. But you gotta show your progress, get people interested. Okay, so lava color. That's what I want to do. Stream becomes Karma Sutra Dan. I don't know anything about the Karma Sutra. But the Kama Sutra, that's for my other stream. Ooh. Yeah, ooh, that turquoise looks good. Look at that turquoise lava. I like it. It's maybe a little too bright, but that's pretty hot because it's lava. Now let's do some stuff for the other ones. Purple turquoise. And what I can do to get any ocean color I want is just set it to, like, say 0.95 transmission of any color. It should bring it down pretty dark pretty quickly. And then put also in the color palette, like the ocean reflectance color. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. But actually I'm going to call it sky. Technically it's the sky color, which maybe would be really cool if I could compute that in real time, which maybe at some point I will. Yes, your bads. Adam, your bads. But for the time being, I'm just going to have a color represent the sky color. So we go all the way back to here, and I have that apply water thing, and I have an ice color too. I need that in there. Definitely need the ice color. Cold as ice. By default, I have it at these values. So it's funny, I'm doing a lot of stuff that's fairly physically accurate, and then some stuff that's kind of hacky, but it's kind of placeholder, and then it's like the colors and stuff is just it's game stuff. So whatever you want it to be. So yeah, it was definitely the ice that, it was hard to tell it was ice that was changing my land colors earlier. So I need ice color and sky color. Now this is always dangerous doing copy paste, so hopefully I don't mess it up. Let me copy those values again. So when I'm building this game, I'm kind of like using the Earth as my model because it's the only planet, you know, that has life. And like, so I'm using values from the Earth to set up a lot of my physical simulation parameters, and like a lot of my units are kind of in multiples of certain Earth values, but from there I'll be able to branch out using that as a good basis. So that's that. And I think that's it. It worked. I didn't have, oh no, I had a compile error. Oh yeah, because I gotta add them. Got to add them. Shake your bomb bomb, shake your bomb bomb. Woo, that's pretty. That turquesa. So we can play with all kinds of stuff here. Sky color can be all kinds of stuff. I actually don't want to mess with the sky color because I like the way the water looks. And the ice, Does it? That looks pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well, honestly, I think the white looked better. That white just pops. Let's try a different one. That white ice does contrast with that dark blue nicely. But we gotta do something different. Ooh, I can make a different sky color. Do I like that green? Maybe? Ooh, yeah, I like that darkness. And the ice. Something kind of bright helps contrast with that darkness. Ooh, a little bit of kind of yellowish color maybe? Too much, just a little bit kind of looks nice. Too much looks urine-y. Just a little bit of color in that ice. Or I can go full crazy. I need to make a neon planet. Now let's... Maybe rhubarb line is the one that I can go crazy with. Wow, that is crazy. This, I think, calls for some crazy colors. I kind of want like a turquoise ice color. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That one's too much. That's kind of cool too, though. Kind of like that one. Just get shades of from kind of purplish reddish colors. The contrast is striking. I want to create a copy of this. I wish there was a duplicate. I don't think there's a duplicate. I just have to reset all the values. And I'll call this Madness palette. And if you just hopped in the stream, or if you're returning from a trip to the commode, you can send a message. See, that turquoise was cool because it was the same color as the lava. But this... So... That was the rhubarb lime, right? That's what I called that one. Yeah. Okay, normal water transmission. Wait, what? Oh, I need some colors here. $168.17. And just being able to swap color palettes on the fly is so fun, so cool, so enjoyable. And this is just, I don't know, I'm not even really using that color yet. Don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I definitely need more colors besides just like normal sand and lava rock. 244, 255, that's pretty simple. $13, 255, 106. And then the sky color is different. 128, huh? No, I don't know. The same. So now I just gotta set my ice color. Apply the new palette. And what did I wanted like the teal, right? I feel like I liked it better the other scene for some reason. Or maybe I was... Be interesting to see what kind of sky color I can get. Okay, that is not what I would... What is different between these two palettes? I kind of like the Madness palette too. So if that's Madness... Looks like only the sky and the ice color are different. Kind of inverted of each other. Should I make this more intense? No, I think that's too much. Cool. I want to make one new one. I don't know what I'm gonna call it. Black sky. Because there's no sky. Oh shit. I gotta add my colors. So I don't know what my colors are gonna be. Just pick something. Oh, the green's nice. First time I've actually really had a nice subtle green. Oh, I like that. One of those purpley pinky colors. More pink or more peach? I don't know, it's like more contrast. This one's a little bit softer look to my eyes. It's like, do you want it to pop or do you want it to be a little more gentle? And here's the important part. The sky is black, so you don't get any of that blue. And now that'll make it fun to play with the light transmission color. Ooh, that rich green, I like that. And of course you can get black oceans too. That's pretty cool. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna make and I'm gonna play with the ice color, but then I'm gonna make another one. It's like a rich green ocean floor. And I think I just like the pop and white. I'm gonna call it Green Planet. Green palette. I'm gonna copy most of the values from this one. 82, 164. And what is the other one? 73. So bear with me for just a sec. Wait, what did I just edit? Something like that. 82, 164, 73. Not that those two really mattered all that much. 80, 80, 80. Okay. I need a better way to duplicate this stuff. I need to like make an editor menu thing to duplicate a color palette. So the sky color and the water light transmission color. The sky color is going to be black. And then I think I let really only greens through the ocean. And I think that'll get me most of the way there. How did I get that really rich green before? That's getting there. Now what do I want to do with that ice? Gotta do something with it. Blue ice, huh? It looks like water though, that's the weird thing. It looks like I've just inverted, like the green looks like land and the blue looks like the ocean, which it kind of is, but that's definitely not land. That's pretty cool. I want to stick with that. I'm gonna just see what that looks like from the get-go. Oh, maybe the lava should be something else too, huh? Oh, that green water raining on down. And the ice growing. Could use some land though. Oh, the ice and the land are almost the same color. Look at that. The lava color. Or the volcanic rock color. No wonder I thought they looked good together. I thought they looked good together even before that. Like you almost can't tell they're different colors. Kind of want to pick a different lava color. And this is so fun just playing with colors, man. That doesn't look too bad. Maybe some of these are a little too intense. Green lava's kind of cool. Give me some volcanoes, sucker. Let me turn up the volcanism. Get some volcanoes up in this bitch. Ooh, I like that accidental little discovery. The like hot purple volcanoes. Oh, that looks awesome. Except maybe a little overpowering of the rest of the planet. But man, hot purple volcano. Maybe on a more purple planet. Probably something a little more on the green side. Maybe not quite so bright. Maybe bright. Maybe bright. What happens if I make it just white? Looks like snow. Ah. Black. Oh, weird. It just kind of disappears when it gets dim. Well, something with how I programmed it, I guess. Oh, because it's additive. That's right. That works. think. Ooh, do I like that? Less hot lava? I think so. Where's daylight? Here's daylight. I like it. Let me go to purple. Let me try purple planet. Play with its lava color. It does provide a nice popping contrast though, but let's try it anyway. Ooh, that looks cool. I like it. That one already has a lava color. Where's my madness? What was madness? Similar. Maybe we can change it from madness. Yeah, I like it to have some white in it. Hot pink lava. Get your hot pink lava right here. Straight red. That's kind of cool too. That's that one. All these color palettes are so cool. Okay, well, I'm gonna sign off now. I'm not sure who out there is watching, but this is my little like pet planet game. It does all kinds of crazy cool simulation, and right now I'm just playing with having different colors of planets. But you can see there's like a cool, ocean water simulation. And man, this planet's crazy looking. I'm gonna take a screenshot of that. I just love seeing what kind of crazy shit I can come up with. And the way that lava was glowing. Ugh. But the idea is you can basically start off, you make a planet, and then you just let it evolve, see what happens. Maybe life develops, maybe it gets hit by a giant meteor. Who knows? And it's meant to just be running on your desktop, and you check back in on it from time to time and see how it's developed. And if you want, you can play with it, you can terraform stuff, or you just let it go, whatever you choose. Wow, that looks cool too. Maybe not as cool as the other one. And that was not so cool. And sometimes these look really cool to me at first, and then I look at them later, I'm like, I don't know. Alright. That's all for now. See you next time. So today is Friday, so I'll see you on Monday. Bye.